Okay, ladies and gentlemen, can everybody see my slide on both computers? Thank you very much. Today, we are talking about business conceptualization. What do I mean by the word to conceptualize? The verb to conceptualize means to come up, to create, to come up with an idea that is new. Do you understand that, Charmaine? Charmaine, read your door. Can you wave your hand if you can hear me, Charmaine? Very good. So to conceptualize is to create. To conceptualize is to think of a new idea that no one else has thought of and make that a reality. Building billion-dollar businesses, whether it's Apple, whether it's Coca-Cola, whether it's Airbnb, whether it's Procter and Gamble, these businesses were conceptualized by people who decided to think. People who wanted to be passionate about solving a problem in the world. That's why they were able to come up with billion-dollar business ideas. Today, in the next 2 hours, I will let you learn to tear apart raw ideas, to forget your so-called idea that anyone can start a business, and show you how you can really start a business and be successful. What you need to do to start a business and be a millionaire is to solve problems and build a bulletproof model that customers will want to buy. Okay, can everybody see my slide? The spark where great companies begin. Can everybody see my slide? All right, we're having the same problem with this room. I think we're going to have to change this room eventually. One moment, please. Okay, can everybody see my slide now? Very good. Thank you very much. So let's talk about it. Look at Apple. Apple makes the iPhone. Steve Jobs had a radical vision of putting a personal computer in every home. All right. Where was iPhone born? Where was the MacBook born? Well, let me tell you, it was born in a suburb called Cupertino in a garage where Steve Jobs lived with his down-to-earth family. Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola started in the kitchen of a man called Pemberton. He started by developing his own cough syrup to actually cure people's headaches. He then built it into one of the world's most popular soft drink companies. Coca-Cola is $1 trillion company. Apple is now $1 trillion company. Airbnb, three guys who couldn't afford to pay their rent were going to be kicked out by their landlord. They thought of an idea that no one else in the world thought of to solve the problem of having enough money to pay the rent. Today, Airbnb is a $75 billion company. In the next 3 years, its vision is to become a $1 trillion company. $1 trillion is $100 billion. Okay? They're already up to $75 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, anybody can conceptualize a business. It's not hard. You have to simply think out of the box. You need to be able to solve the world's problems. Okay, so now we're looking at the cost of a bad idea. Can everybody see that? Okay, what is the cost of a bad idea? It's very simple. You've been working overseas as a domestic helper. You save up $20,000. You go back to your own country and think you're smart and you start your own business, but you have no idea how to run a business because all you're doing is opening a business that other people have opened because you think you can make money copying their ideas. You will fail. 90% of people who do that around the world work for years to save up 20 or $30,000. They go back to their own country, and within the first 6 months, 90% of them fail. Any business that you start must be a business that will solve problems. It must be something that people want, something that nobody has done before, or something that you can do better than your competitor. And you need to confirm that there is a demand for it before you even contemplate selling it to the open market. If you think that you can make the best fried noodles in the world, you need to test it, cook it, go out into the street, get 100, 200 people to taste it and tell you that they would pay for your noodles. Ask them, how much would you pay? You need to do that before you even waste $1 on starting a business. And this comes down to what we call the art of validation. Validation first, then spend your hard-earned money. So first, you have to identify a problem and solve it, and then you need to validate it. Otherwise, you're not ready to start a business. So if we go through this concept clarity, defining your what if of starting a business. First, you need to ask yourself, what specific problem am I solving in the world? How am I going to solve it? What is the solution? And are people going to use this solution, or is it absurd because it's too expensive or no one will understand how to use it? 3, who are your customers? How much do they have to earn? What age are your customers? And how often will they buy this product? You have to ask yourself, what are the alternatives that other people are trying to come up with for the same problem? Do you have any other competition that is solving the same problem? And how are you going to solve it better than them? What are the alternatives? Tell me, what are the alternatives? How can you be better than your competition? And last but not least, you need to do your homework to find out exactly how much starting this business is going to cost. Because it's not about having $30,000. It's about being able to fund production, logistics to market, delivery to the customer, enough staff to manage the business, or if you're going to run your own online business, the right equipment, the latest laptop and technology. You can afford social media marketing, and you can afford to actually promote the business, or you can afford to put your business onto an e-commerce platform. There is no simple way of becoming a millionaire. Points 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are critical. The problem, the solution, the customer, the alternatives, and the investment. So let's start from the beginning. Let's look at a restaurant. Everybody knows what a restaurant is, right? Everybody knows what a restaurant is. Correct? Put your hands up if you know what a restaurant is. Come on, I want to see cameras on and hands up. Hurry up. Show me your hands. Even if you're at work, show me your electronic hand. Okay, just one moment, please. All right, let's look from a restaurant concept. From a restaurant concept, there's a vague idea that Marites may have, or Hildegard may have. I want to open a small restaurant and make my favorite family cooked food and sell it. Well, yeah, it's a vague idea. but you don't even know whether your food is good enough to sell to customers because you can't rely on what your husband and children tell you. You need to test it in the open market to strangers on the street. You don't know who your customers are. You don't know where the location is. Right now, people don't eat on the street anymore. You either have to have a stall or a place where you can show them that you look professional and you're a professional food stall or restaurant. So let's talk about the vague idea. But now let's move over to how do I make that a specific investable concept? What do I mean by an investable concept? Francis, put on your camera. Angelo, put on your camera because you have not sent me messages that you're at work. Okay, so remember, what is an investable concept? Let's talk about an investable concept, Gretel. Gretel de Baldo, can you hear me? Can you? Okay, good. An investable concept for Gretel should be, I want to open a 50-seat modern restaurant. I want to open it in downtown Manila. I want to target people that work during the day, and I want to target people after work from 25 to 45 that can afford to spend somewhere between $35 and $55 on dinner and maybe some drinks, and approximately I need $100,000 to start the business, rent a property, renovate it, set up a kitchen, and pay the rent for 6 months. If you can't come up with a clear idea, having known exactly what this business is going to provide, how much it's going to cost, you are not ready to come up with an investable concept. Save your money and work for someone. The concept has a who, what, where, and how much. It can be tested, modeled, and pitched. If you don't answer the who, the what, the where, and the how much, you shouldn't try to set up a business. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Okay, so what do we mean by set up a business? What do we mean? What do we mean by set up a business? It means you're investing your hard-earned cash to start your own business because you want to be able to make money to support your family and pay your employees. So before you can declare it a concept which is good enough for you to invest in, you have to know what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, why you're going to do it, and how much it will cost. Does everybody understand this? Yes or no? Do you understand that, Choco? Choco Win, can you put up your hand if you understand? Thank you very much. What about you, Maya? Do you understand? Thank you very much. What about you, Muhammad Ibrahim? Thank you very much. So many people fail. Yes, Tamil Vana, many people fail, Tamil, because they think that opening a business is like photocopying Tamil's restaurant and just opening a restaurant. But they may not be as good as Tamil with their recipe. Tamil might have a secret recipe that they will never be able to copy. So every business idea must solve a problem or be able to deliver that solution better than your competitors. Yeah, I know. How do I know who my competitors are? Well, you shouldn't be starting a business unless you've checked who are your competitors. You have to go try and test your competitors. Then you have to come up with a better product, and then you have to go and test it on the street or in the market before you even plan to open a business. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? And later, I'll give you other ideas about how you can test the product. Okay? All right, so let's go back to the lesson. All right, can you see my slide, Gretel? Gretel, can you see my slide? Yes or no? Great, excellent. Okay, so let's go on, guys. Let me just put it on the other screen. All right, so as I said, guys, where's this gone? Okay, so as I said, you need to identify these and you need to be specific and you need to have an investable concept. So let's talk about this. Quick feasibility scan, catching the deal breakers early. First, you need to know how much will this cost? Okay, how much will it cost? Then you need to ask yourself, is there any regulatory requirements or licenses required? And is there a market in your country for this product? And the only way you can do this is by having tested and validated your idea before you even launch. All right, can everybody see my screen? Obvious deal breakers, Gretel? Susan, can you see my screen, Susan? Okay, so what are the obvious deal breakers that you should be aware of before you try to start a business? Just one moment, guys. What are the obvious deal breakers? The obvious deal breakers are not every idea deserves millions of dollars. Not every idea requires a full feasibility study. You need to have a quick scan. You need to understand how much is the rent? How much will it cost me to renovate? How much will the equipment cost? How much money do I need to pay salaries for the first 3 to 6 months? And how much money do I need to pay electricity bills? Or how much money do I need in case that the first month business is very slow? Remember, if the numbers are impossible, the law says no, or no one else has been able to solve this problem, then you shouldn't waste your money on it. Now, if it's a problem that no one's attempted solving before, then you definitely need to test it and you definitely need to do a full financial feasibility before you start. What is a full feasibility analysis? Number one, Miami, are you listening to my lesson, Miami? Please focus on my lesson. Okay, so I deal number one is you need to analyze your market. You need to know your market. You need to make sure you've done TAM, SAM, and SOM, and I'll explain those to you shortly. Using verifiable, cited data, not guess. You need to have a competitive landscape. You need to ask yourself, what are the gaps in the market and how can I fix these gaps? Don't dream of gaps. Make sure that the gaps really, really exist. And you need to make sure that you've gone to market, you've spoken to people, and you've actually confirmed that they believe that you have a problem and you're able to solve it and they would buy your product. That is demand evidence. So, how do we actually measure demand evidence? All right. So, as you can see on my screen, I talk about the power of data over hype. Can everybody see that? Yes or no? Can you see that, Susan? Good. All right. So, as it says at the bottom, a 1% share of 10 billion market sounds compelling until you explain how you'll actually capture that 1%. So, founders routinely overestimate their market size by 10 to 50%. When we talk about starting a new business, if you talk to 100 people and 100 say yes, can you rely on the 100 no? So how do you decide what is the realistic figure to start with? So when you do your financial planning, you base it on sales from a realistic number of prospective customers. Google Trends validate search demand over time. Competitor analysis grids understand what the competitors are selling and test their product. And market sizing calculators. If you're going to start your market in a particular country or town, you have to check what is the population, how many of that population have a job and can afford your product, how many of that population actually may need your product, and what age bracket are you catering for? All of these are part of the data information that people usually ignore. You need to pay attention to collecting the right data and coming up with a realistic estimate on your market size. Okay. When we talk about numbers, you need to have a defensible model, not about optimism. It's about honest assumptions with clear logic. So what am I saying? If Gretel wants to borrow $100,000 to open a restaurant to sell food, she would have to show that she has actually taken the food out onto the market, maybe on the weekends at a market or on the street. She cooks her food, goes out on the street, and gets 1,000 people to taste it. And then she gives every customer a card for them to tell her how they rate her food and how much they're prepared to pay for the dish. Then she would analyze those and say that based on 1,000 people who tested my food, 9,990 people said they would buy it at an average price of. And then she would develop her sales forecast based on not 999, but she would then go on and say, based on 999, assuming that only 50% of them actually buy it, I estimate that 445 people will spend this much at my restaurant in the first week or the first month. So you need to come up with realistic figures based on assumptions that you collect, not by sitting in your bed and thinking of it and thinking you know. It's by going out and taking your food product to market or taking your idea to the market, to the street, and talking to people to find out whether they believe your idea will solve their problem and whether they're prepared to pay for it. Okay, testing willingness to pay. How do I test whether Gretel is willing to pay 100 US dollars for my lamb steak? Well, if I go and talk to her in the street and say, hey, Gretel, taste my lamb steak, I'll be opening a new grill house. How do I test their willingness to spend that money? Many people on the street will tell you yes, but they won't buy it because at the end of the day, they can't afford it and they're ashamed to tell you, Gretel. Do you understand that? Gretel? Okay. Same with you, Hildegard. You may talk to 100 friends and say to them, I'm opening a beauty salon. I'm bringing guys from Korea to look after your hair. Would you come to my salon? They may say yes to you to be nice, Gretel, but then when you sorry, Hildegard and Gretel, but when you open, they find out they have to pay $50 for a haircut and they can get it at a regular place for $4. They won't come to your salon, right? They just tell you that to make you happy. So that is not enough for us to start a business. Do you understand that, everybody? You need to do a test. Are people willing to commit to real money before the product even exists? So you need to ask the question, are you prepared to pay $50 now for someone from Korea to make you look beautiful? Not just say, would you come to my salon? You need to tell them about the price because out of 1,999 said yes, they would come, but most of them didn't know the price. After you tell them the estimated price, probably only 750 will say yes. Do you understand that, everyone? And the golden rule. The golden rule is only when somebody pays. It's what we call validation. And I'm going to tell you how to get validation when you're planning to start a business. Do you understand this, everyone? Put your hands up. Does everybody understand, please? Can you wave your hands? Come on, great. Okay, can anybody tell me validation is what? Validation is trying to show proof of a concept. You understand that, Gretel? Validation, Lackmeyer, is trying to show somebody evidence of what information you have that something will work. Do you understand that, Lackmeyer? Okay, what about you, Muhammad Ibrahim? Do you understand that? Okay, good, excellent. Do you understand that, Hildegard? Great, excellent. So, what people say, what people do. Would you subscribe to a sock delivery service? Everybody knows socks, right? The socks we wear. So if you know what socks are and you try to say to people, I'm going to come up with socks and I can deliver them to you every month, would you buy your socks online? Customer will say, like Maya, yeah, I'm lazy, I'll buy. I don't have time to go to the shop, hypothetically. Surveys produce social desirability because Maya says, yeah, that sounds good. I'll probably buy it, yeah. But is that confirmation, Hildegard? No. Is that enough for you to invest your money in, Hildegard? No. Does Hildegard want to waste her lifetime savings in a lady who said she'll buy socks online unless she can confirm? Absolutely not. Because Hildegard has to go to China and pay for 50,000 pairs of socks from a factory before they'll make them for her. Customers don't want socks that are already on sale. Hildegard will have to design her own socks with her own pattern, her own colors, and the factory will require a minimum order quantity, probably 5,000 pairs of socks for her first order. 5,000 pairs at $2 a pair, or even $1 a pair is 5,000 US dollars. Hildegard only has $25,000 and she saved that working overseas for 10 years. Do you think she's going to give that all to the Chinese factory? I hope not. Am I right, Hildegard? You won't give it. Will you give it or no? No way, right? No way. Very good. Okay, I'm only giving an example, Hildegard. Don't get upset with me, all right? I promise, okay? Good. Okay, so let's talk about what people actually do. Would you pay $19.99 a month for socks, designer socks, providing I deliver them to your door every month? You gave the price now, so the answer would be more accurate. Let me think about it. That means no. Okay, let's keep going. The moment a price is attached, you get the real answer. If she says yes for sure, that means you got one customer. If she says, let me think about it, you don't have a customer. Do you understand that, everyone? Yes or no? Okay, great. Excellent. Maria, are you listening, Maria? Great, Maria. What about you, Abigail? Are you listening to the lesson? What about you, Mary Ann? Mant I da so. You need to show me your face on camera, otherwise you're absent. All right. What about you, Tamil? Tamil Varana? Good, excellent. Okay, good. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are the realities of conceptualizing a business idea. I want to ask a question, and I want all of you to answer me. I want everybody to pay attention to this question, including my co-host. Guys, you've all thought about starting a business, right? Put your hands up. Who thought about starting a business? Very good. And I bet $100 that you all thought you're going to copy somebody else. Am I right or wrong? Put your hand up. You all thought, oh, it's easy to sell coffee. Starbucks make money. Or Vana said to himself, my friend has an office selling property. I'll open a real estate office. He's making millions. It's easy, right? Hypothetically, that's what all of you thought. I'm telling you, you'll all fail. I'm not being rude, Tamil Vana. I'm telling you the truth. You need to learn the academic principles before you waste your money on a business. Would you agree with me, sir? Very good. Excellent. Would you agree with me, Wulan? Wulan? Very good. Would you agree with me, Maria? Maria Chiselle? Very good. Okay, I keep pointing to Hildegard. I have to give Hildegard a rest for a while. I'm sorry, Hildegard. What about you, April? Would you agree with me, April? You look very nice in pink today, April. Switch on your camera so I can talk to you, April. Marites, do you agree with me? Very good. Excellent, guys. Excellent. Okay, so remember, the reality of business is you need to have fresh ideas. Can anybody here or everybody here go to the chat box now? I want everyone. I want you to write down one problem which you think the world hasn't solved that you think you want to solve. Everybody, go to the chat box now. Write down one problem. Any problem. Please don't write down war because you don't have an army to solve it. Please don't write down Gretel's starvation around the world because you don't have enough money to feed all the starving populations. All right? Come up with a real problem that you face as a consumer. Because financial problems? Yeah, everybody has financial problems, generous. But do you have a bank to lend them money? What other problems do you think the market faces? Rat's problem at home? That's a good problem, yeah. There's a way you can work on becoming an exterminator who kills all rats with a new technology. Possible. Angelo Financial, your own financial problems? That's not what I'm asking about. I'm asking about a problem that people, your customers, are looking for a solution. If you're talking, they're looking for financial help, money, borrowing money, unless you have a couple of $1 million in the bank, that you're going to open your own bank and you meet the requirements to get a banking license or a money lender license, then that is the wrong business. Because any financial business, you need government licensing in no matter what country you're in. Whether you want to lend money, sell shares on the open market and teach them investment, all of that requires business licenses. So you can forget that because to get those business licenses, you must put up security deposits. All right. Can anybody else share new ideas in the chat box with me? Come on, guys. Please, I need to hear you. What about you? Scam problem all over the world. That's a very good problem, Muhammad. You're one of the first guys that's ever brought that up, Muhammad. And Muhammad, today it's not difficult to come up with, Muhammad. All you need is to work with two or three young IT geniuses, probably young whizzes, and try to find out how they can develop technology and come up with a list of all the online businesses around the world and then be able to test those against their business registration, their balance sheet, how many good reviews or bad reviews they have. They need to come up with some sort of software that can collect all this, okay? And then allow consumers to use that website to check before they spend money, right? And even if they charge $1 per check, imagine if you had a million checks a month, is $1 million. Now, I'm not saying that $1 is the ideal price, but what I'm saying, Mohammed, there is a problem, and you need to come up with an innovative way of fixing it, Mohammed. You follow me? And there's an easy way to do it, Mohammed. You don't have to be an IT engineer. You can find young IT whizzes all around the world and you can get them to help you. And when the business starts, then they become your partners. Do you understand that, Mohammed? So nothing is impossible. All right. Okay, Ginelin says gas price is going up. Ginelin, that's not a problem you can solve. You don't have $20 trillion in the bank to import gas and sell it. I want you to come up with problems that you think you can solve for country, for people in your country. Do not tell me your government's problem. You cannot solve your government corruption problems. All right. I want you to come up with problems that you can solve for customers if you're opening your own business. Come on, guys. Corrupt government officials. How can you solve that? You're not even in government. Focus on a business idea that you can afford to solve. Even if you go and ask investors for $1 trillion, Gretel, and say, hey, I want to actually take over my country because my government is corrupt. Do you think an investor is going to give you $1 million? You don't even have any political experience. You've never run a company that made $1 trillion. You think they're going to give you $1 trillion? So when you come up with a problem you want to solve, it has to be a realistic problem. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Very good. All right, let's go to the chat box. Sorry guys, let me just go back to my chat box. I've got lots of messages coming in here. Okay, hold on, guys. Can everybody send me messages giving me a problem? Okay, here we go. Okay, good. Excellent. Excellent, guys. Excellent. Come on, I need more messages. Can everybody write messages in the group now? Wulan, where are your message? Nur Aini, where's your message? Very good. Tax issues. Well, tax issues you can't really solve because they're set by government and legislature. But what you can do is come up with a tax consultancy business or a software that will actually do tax calculations and prepare tax filings for people in your country. That is possible, yes. Okay, what's another one? Anybody else have one for me? Swan, what do you want to say? Swan, do you have an idea? Swan, go ahead, Swan. Swan, you want to unmute your microphone? No? Okay. All right. Okay, I've got more messages here. Hold on. What's the next one? Online illegal gambling and loan apps? Well, no, you want to go to jail? I don't suggest you go down that line, Irma. You want to solve a problem where you can run a business, not go to jail. Um, Again, Joshua, incompetence of employees is not a problem you can solve. You want to start a business? Well, you can solve incompetence of employees by starting a training business, maybe, Joshua. That would be a more realistic answer to a problem. Affordable price, but quality of goods like vegetables and fruits. Well, you need to start a fresh fruit and vegetable business that imports higher quality goods. Okay. Um, Low salary here in the Philippines. Well, you need to get higher qualifications, Normia, like, studying for an international qualification, and then you can earn a higher salary. The salaries in the Philippines are based on local qualifications. You want a higher salary, you have to graduate, and get a foreign qualification. Okay, all right, good, excellent. Genuinely affects a person's money. Yeah, I've got a very good answer here. Hildegard says it's a problem, any problem that genuinely affects a person's money. Anything that they can do to save more money or monetize at more effectively. What do we mean by monetize more effectively? Get better value for money. Do you understand that, everyone? Yes or no? All right. Let me ask you another question. Another question. How many here are from the Philippines? Can you put your hand up? Everybody in the Philippines, hands up. Come on, hurry up. Come on. No one from the Philippines? What's wrong with you guys? Great. Excellent. Okay. All right. I want to ask a question. Again, Gretel, you're the one I'm looking at. Let's talk to you, Gretel. Gretel, imagine your mother says to you today, Gretel, how about me and you open adobo stall? You know, Gretel, your mother makes the best adobo in the Philippines. Okay? Now, Gretel might agree with her mother. And it is true, Gretel's mother could be the best adobo cook in the Philippines. But before she takes that to market, Gretel would say to Mum, Mum, this weekend you cook 10 kilos of chicken adobo. We'll put it in little plastic containers. We'll set up a stall in the middle of the street outside the shopping center and the car park, and we'll get people to taste it. Because adobo is no fixed recipe. As all of you Filipinos will know, okay, all of you will know that adobo tastes as good as the hand that makes it. Am I right, Gretel? Because every mother uses her hand to measure the salt, the pepper, the vinegar, and every family makes a different taste. Gretel's mother makes it one way, Gretel's auntie makes it another way, Gretel's grandmother taught her mother, and her mother probably didn't learn properly from the grandmother. Would you all agree, all of you from the Philippines? Yes or no? Now, I'm a chicken adobo expert. I love eating it, but I don't know how to cook it, all right? So if Gretel ever invites me, I'll tell her whether her adobo is good. I've tried 90 different variations so far, all right? And I still can't pick one that stands out, and I'm looking for it, okay? All right, so listen carefully, guys. Any business can be done, but you have to give it a twist that no one else has, okay? Do you all understand that? Yes or no? I'll give you another example. Most adobo kitchens in the Philippines use frozen chicken. Gretel will tell you if you go to any shop in the Philippines and order adobo or from a street vendor, they use frozen chicken. It's cheaper for them, right? But you know as well as I do, when you cook adobo, if the protein has been frozen, the taste that it releases into the adobo, vinegar, and the sauce is not as strong. It's not as potent, and therefore the adobo fails. So, if you're able to come up with an adobo kitchen that specializes in adobo and call it adobo heaven, adobo land, all right, or focus on just adobo, okay, and give it the best possible ingredients, the freshest ingredients, nothing frozen, and maybe cook to order. Does everybody know what cook to order means? You have all the ingredients prepared and you have a cook. Somebody comes in and orders chicken adobo. So he takes the raw chicken and he cooks one serving and he serves it. He doesn't cook it 2 days before in the fridge and send it out to a customer. It's taking a common business and changing it so it comes at a better, higher quality, better value. Does everybody understand this? Yes or no? I used adobo as an example. Forgive me if anybody doesn't know what it is. Adobo is the form of a chicken stew or anything Japanese chicken that you order with gravy and eat with rice. Adobo is a similar version, but adobo has over 1 million people eating it every year, based on the population of the Philippines. All right. If we go to other countries like America, where they're obese, they eat more junk food than any other food. So the obvious business in the Philippines is fast food. I got a message here from Sophia Willington. If you are at work and you've sent me a message, yes, you may switch off your camera. Does everybody understand now what I'm talking about? IT businesses. Some of you have said IT. IT businesses are easy, yes, but you have to make sure that you haven't copied the IT from somewhere else and that it's a new program, not something you've copied and will get sued over. So if you think there's a problem you can solve with IT, yes, providing you have people that will develop a brand new solution and you haven't illegally infringed any copyright, absolutely. It could be solving a same problem as someone else, but you need to do it in your own way. Okay, I like all these software applications. Okay, good. Counselor, what is it? Create a software application for self-training. Well, yeah, online self-learning, self-study applications. Yeah, but you have to make sure it's a new idea. You have to make sure the people who record the training and the ideas are innovative and better than the others that are already in your market. Just hold on, guys. Sorry, sir, I'm still at work, cannot focus later. If I finish, I can see module again. Yeah, Debbie, but you must still keep your video on or switch off your video and listen to the class. You must stay in the class until the end. Thank you. You can still listen to the class. Reinhard, again, Raina, if you're at work, you can switch off your camera, not because you have poor reception. Okay? You can switch off your camera as at work, but make sure you're listening to the lesson. Okay, you all say software here. One other one that only one student brought up is solar energy. Solar energy is still a market that no one's tapped around the world. But again, for solar energy, you need to actually have the technology. All right. Again, this is Biz Talk. You will only get the lesson, Ali Rose, at the very end of the lesson. You must be in the class till the end. Thank you. All right. So does everybody understand what I'm saying, guys? Yes or no? All right. So that's okay, Debbie. Whilst you're doing the cooking, you can listen to the lesson. Put your earplugs on. All right. Does everybody understand what we're saying? Yes or no? Enjoy your cooking, Debbie. I understand. I appreciate that you're working and I appreciate that you're at BizTalk. All right. So let's go back now to the lesson. All right. Here we go. All right. So everybody can see my slide. Like Maya, can you see my slide? Very good. Okay. So we said here what people say and what people do. All right, so there's a simple test here. We call this test in the academic world, we call it the smoke test, proving demand with zero code. First, you build the idea, you drive traffic, you test it, and you measure it. A smoke test lets you validate real market demand in 48 hours with minimal spend before writing a single line or spending any money. Now, the smoke test is something that IT companies use. This is what it is. Your first customer is waiting. So, what do? You develop a simple landing page or a one-page website and you write about your product or your service with a clear value proposition of what it will provide your customers. And you tell them when you plan to bring it to market. We'll be opening, or our projected opening date is June 2026. You tell them about why your business will deliver this software or this product and how much it will cost. And then you basically ask them to give you feedback on whether they would visit your business and why. You don't even know why. You just want to ask them, are you interested? Would you be interested in visiting or buying our product? Please register now. And in return, will give you a 5% discount on your first visit or first purchase. Does everybody understand that? And this is what we call the smoke test. Did anybody here ever think of the smoke test? Did anybody here ever think of the smoke test? No? Come on, be honest. Did anybody think of the smoke test? What does a smoke test cost you? Nothing. $20? All you need to do, Mr. Muhammad Ibrahim, go to one of those build your own website places on the internet, come up with a cheap one-page website, okay? Write about your new product, say that you plan to launch in 3 months, okay? Tell them the benefits and why it's new. Tell them how much the selling price, the introductory price will be, and then ask them to register their interest. And if they do register, when you start the business, they will receive a one-off 5 or 10% discount. Okay? And tell them they must register by a certain date. Okay? Now, once you do that, the other point is you must get that website address out on social media to as many people as you know. Okay? And when you go out into the street talking to people, you must hand out your address, your social media address, okay? Or you can print out pamphlets and leave them all over Manila if you can afford that. Does everybody understand the smoke test? Abigail? It's not expensive, Abigail. You can get a cheap website online for, I don't know, 25 bucks. A $25 investment is cheap before you invest $25,000. Would you agree with me, Abigail? Would you agree with that, Muhammad Ibrahim? Would you agree with that, Miss Anu? Yes, you would agree, Miss Anu? Very good. Okay, good. Mr. Ong Tan Tay, would you agree with what I said? Very good. So the smoke test is one option. One option. Lamin Koroma, you can only switch off your camera if you are at work and you can prove it. And you must stay in the lesson till the end of the lesson and listen to the lesson. Ladies and gentlemen, I've already explained this 4 times. Please, guys, focus on the lesson. Okay, so the smoke test is a cheap and effective way of measuring your potential market. Okay? Let me give you an idea. Many years ago in Korea, I've used this example in some of my previous biz talks. Some IT genius came up with software for hairdressing salons in Korea that allowed a lady to go in there, sit in front of a high definition screen with a camera and record her face on camera, then type in her name. And then AI will take her through a series of 10 or 12 questions and show her hundreds of photos of hairstyles on her face. So they'll use her face and impose the hairstyle on it. And then the lady can choose it, and then she can see all the options. And then she can meet the stylist who works in that salon that will do it for her, and he will come to talk to her one-to-one before she agrees to it. Now, when he developed this software, before he released it and gave it to salons, he asked them, do you think this would help attract customers to your salon because you have new technology? Approximately 500 to 800 salons said yes within a week. Now the technology is used by thousands all over the world, providing they can afford the technology. It's not cheap. They have to pay for it because in turn, they're going to bring in more money from their customers. Do you understand what I mean by that, guys? You have to test your market. It means you may have to develop the software, go to one salon and say, here, test it free for 1 month. Does everybody understand this? Yes or no? Yes or no? Come on, I want to see yellow hands. Let's go. Very good. Excellent, ladies and gentlemen. Very good. Excellent. Okay, guys, remember, conceptualization is about using your brain. Conceptualization is about not following what your mother, father, great grandfather, and great grandmother came up. It's not about following what your next door neighbor's doing. It's about breaking the norm. It's about going away from now and thinking on your own. It's about you coming up with ridiculous ideas that no one else has ever come up with. Do you all understand that? Yes or no? Yes or no? Great. There's another idea, and I know this is stupid, but I've never seen anybody put adobo inside a hamburger bun. I've never everybody seen put chicken adobo inside a wrap. They sell chicken wraps, they sell beef wraps at McDonald's. I've never seen them put chicken adobo in a wrap. There you go. Some genius is going to take my idea and make millions of it selling fast food in the Philippines. Please don't go and tell Jollibee because they might do it. All right. Okay. So remember, guys, it's about coming up with something that no one else has ever done. Who knows? Maybe Gretel can put the flavor of chicken adobo into ice cream. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know whether it's humanly possible or not. There's an idea for you, Gretel. Think about it. Okay. So all of these are incredible ideas that no one's ever explored. Do you understand that? Yes or no? Chicken strips adobo in Siapao. Yeah, but chicken strips adobo is not real chicken adobo. I'm sorry. Chicken strips are not used in adobo. Chicken adobo has chunks of chicken, so it's not the real thing. So if you're going to come up with a real concept, you need to do it properly. And that's why chicken strips that you're talking about is not yet $1 million business. Okay? So don't don't come up with an idea by changing the real thing. Chicken adobo for shawarma here in Saudi Arabia, it's not real chicken adobo because they slice the meat so thin. Chicken adobo should be served in chunks, and chicken adobo should not be cooked on a shawarma skewer. So that's why they failed. They're trying to come up with a product. They may sell 10 or 20 in Saudi Arabia. That's because no one has been able to bring out a Filipino product that will sell tens of thousands because there's tens of thousands of Filipino workers in Saudi Arabia. Trust me, if they bring out real adobo, cooked the home way as it's cooked in the Philippines, and scoop the adobo out of a boiling adobo pot into a sandwich in big chunks and dress it with the right salad, they're going to sell a lot more. But please don't tell me adobo shawarma. That's not adobo. That's an imitation. It will fail. All right, guys, does everybody understand that? It will fail more specifically when somebody comes out with a better idea. Any Filipinos living in Saudi Arabia, put your hands up. Anyone? Great. Well, Normia, maybe you message me one day and maybe I can give you some ideas how to put the shawarma place out of business. All right. Okay. There's a lot of Saudi investors that will help you. Just message me if you're interested. All right. Deal, Normia? Can you cook adobo, Normia? Do you know how to make adobo? Good girl. Excellent. There's a business idea. Do you understand what I'm saying, guys? You need to come up with real ideas. I know my co-host, Miss Anu, her son loves chicken. Am I right, Anu? And her son loves pizza, right? Now, Anu's not crazy enough to open a fried chicken shop because her son will never approve of the fried chicken she makes because he knows which fried chicken he loves. And he tells his mother, Mama, I want to go to this shop. No, 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 I don't want the cheap one. I want this one. Am I right, Anu? So unless Anu can cook a fried chicken that's better than his favorite chicken, Anu is not going to invest all the millions in savings into a fried chicken shop. It's cheaper to take her son away for takeaway and buy him fried chicken, right, Anu? And that should go for all of you. Okay? Do you understand that now, Kumu? Now? Yes or no? Good on you, young lady. I like your red top. You look beautiful today. All right, good on you. So listen, guys, focus, conceptualization, bringing an idea from zero to reality. Here we go. Okay, let me put this screen back up. Okay, so as I said, the smoke test is a cheap way of you testing market. You can get a cheap website for 20 or $30 online, and there's some free website building apps, and you can get yourself a website address. You can buy a cheap website address for 10 or $20 online, and you can use it. So the total investment might be uh, $30 plus 40, 20 or $30 for a website to website host or a website hosting company to give you a website address. Or website domain. So it's even if it costs you $100 in total, it's still cheaper than investing millions in starting a failed business. Just one moment, guys, please. Okay. All right. So let's look at the next point. Right now, we're looking at customer interviews, killing assumptions. Can everybody see my slide? Yes or no? Can you see my slide now? Now, T? Now, can you see my slide? Very good. Okay. So remember, it's good to go out and talk to customers on the street. It's good to actually interview customers. Don't interview your mother, father, grandmother, grandfather, uncle, auntie. They're not going to tell you the truth because they love you. Go and interview strangers. Ronald, never interview your own family. Interview strangers because family don't want to hurt your opinion. Would you agree with that, Ronald? Ronald? Okay, Ronald is reading. Okay. All right, guys. So remember, the honest conversation can save you from building the wrong product. Now, the goal, extract genuine willingness to pay signals, not validation of your existing idea. Remember, we said here that this idea of the smoke test is one idea. The other idea is if you don't want to spend money on the smoke test, you can just walk out onto the street and interview people. The method, ask about whether the problem you solved, ask them if they find let's talk about Saudi Arabia. Walk down the street, talk to all the Filipinos. Hi, listen, I just wanted to ask you, as a Filipino, do you find it hard to find real home cooked adobo here in Saudi? And would you agree with me that you work and you have no time to cook your own? If we were to start a real adobo kitchen here in Saudi that cooks adobo the Filipino way based on a real Filipino recipe with a Filipino cook, would you eat adobo in this restaurant? Would you pay 4 Saudi riyals for adobo and hot rice? So you're telling them the problem. You can't find real adobo, and I'm going to solve it at this price. You're introducing them to the problem and measuring whether they agree it's a problem. And the rule, never pitch your solution. Listen for the problem to emerge organically. Let me play that role. Hi, guys. You're from the Philippines? How long have you been working in Saudi? Do you find it hard to get real, authentic Filipino food like adobo? I don't tell them what I'm going to do until they identify the problem. Do you understand that, everyone? Come on, guys, show me hands. Yes or no? I want to see yellow hands. Let's go. Ronald, do you understand what I said, Ronald? Okay, good. Do you understand what I said, Gerard? Okay, good. So the next part of this is very simple. The next part examines a philosophy which, just one moment, please. The next part examines a simple philosophy. And this is a philosophy that's been validated by Apple. Apple's early validation, when they actually started developing the MacBook in the garage. No, it's not a joke. The MacBook was started in the garage of Steve Jobs, together with his mate Wazza. Okay? Build for friends. Jobs and Wozniak built early prototypes for their inner circle, real users, people who were computer geeks. They built them in the Steve Jobs garage. Him and Mr. Wozniak used to spend all night, all day building motherboards on their own. But they built them the way that they wanted the future of the MacBook to be. As they built different versions, they collected feedback and they kept on testing until they got a lot of feedback on the Apple One, which has since been totally taken over by many better versions. And the Apple II emerged from rapid iteration, responding to what real users actually needed. Now, how many real users did they have? Based on writings, they had something like 1,000 real users over a year. So they would build them and share them with real users to evaluate. And after one user had finished, they'd give the machine to another. So build for friends, collect feedback. That's another way. You know, if you're doing it with food, you can cook it, go and knock on all your neighbors and say, hey guys, I cooked this for you. I would like you all to taste it tonight. And here's some steamed rice to go with it. And tell me how you feel about this food. Tell me if you like my recipe. Okay, let's look at Airbnb. Airbnb's founders didn't wait for users to come to them. They personally knocked on doors and recruited the first house or the first flat that they were going to put on the B&B website. They went there with their own cameras, took pictures, and actually put them on their website, and then started promoting their website. So over the time, they would go out and find people with apartments and other accommodations and encourage them to put them on the Airbnb website. And before you knew it, one property would go, they would tell another property, and suddenly there was tens of thousands properties registered in the Airbnb database. And the other thing that pushed it is somebody would go on holidays from the Philippines to Australia, Sydney, but hotels are $500 a night. So they'd stay at an Airbnb, a house on the beach with a bedroom that they rent for $100 a night. And the people in the house would look after them. They'd give them breakfast or whatever. That is an Airbnb accommodation. And then they tell their friends. And this how Airbnb came up. What you need to do is first, do things that don't scale first. Prove the model manually before automating it. Same thing. Try your Adobo door-to-door before you go online trying to promote your restaurant and selling it. And let me go back to say Airbnb is now a $75 billion business. It is targeted that by the end of 2027, Airbnb will be $1 trillion business. $1 trillion is $100 billion. All right? $1 billion is $100 million. So $1 trillion is $100 billion. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Put your hands up. Come on, Aloni. You can be another A, B, and B, Aloni. You just have to be creative. All right, let's look at the Coca-Cola story. Can you see my Coca-Cola slide now? Okay, Coca-Cola. Mr. Pemberton, sitting in his old kitchen many years ago, had a headache and was suffering from fatigue. And he wanted to come up with some sort of tonic or drink that would give him energy. He came up with the solution, a syrup blending using nuts, cola nuts, the nuts, and coca leaf, which was sold at soda fountains as a refreshing health drink. So he took cola nut and coca leaf and he came up with a recipe to create a soda, which now is known as Coca-Cola, previously, which was sold at fountains in ice cream bars and shops across the United States in diners. But he didn't promote it as a soft drink, he promoted it as a health drink. The validation. People kept coming back to their medicine store or their local diner and ordering Pemberton's drink. They came back not just because it was a medicine, it's because their friends told them how much more energetic they were after they drank Pemberton's cola formulation. So, who promoted Coca-Cola now, as it is now? The millions of people that tasted it and told their friends. It was organically created. Okay, let's talk about this. The building of what I call a blueprint or a bulletproof business model is very important. But before I do that, I've just got a question here. What do I mean by organically? It means it's spread by word of mouth. One happy customer will tell 12. One unhappy customer will tell 45. But there were so many people tasting it that each one told 12 or more. And today, Coca-Cola is one of the most heavily consumed soft drinks in the world. It outperforms PepsiCo year on year. I'm talking about Coca-Cola, the drink, not everything that Coca-Cola makes. Coca-Cola also makes Fanta and other drinks. But if we take Coca-Cola itself, the original Coca-Cola recipe, it oversells or outsells any other soft drink in the world year on year. Okay, guys. So the business model canvas will need you to think about every dimension, not just the product itself. You need to find out which markets you're going to sell it in, whether the people in that market can afford it, or are you going to sell it on a monthly subscription basis through a shop, through an online e-commerce platform like Shopee or Amazon? And are you going to have people sell it for you and pay them commission, or are you going to franchise the business? You need to look at the cost structure. How much money you need to cover the initial fixed expenses and the monthly variable expenses for the first 2 years. If you only have money to rent the shop for 3 months, you can't go into business. You have to make sure you have enough money to see you through for at least 1 year, and if you really want to be more comfortable, for the first 2 years. Now, the chances are if you come up with the right product, you will start being profitable in the first 6 to 12 months. But you need to make sure you're ready if it's going to take time to prove yourself in the market. Key partnerships. Who are your key partners? Where will your product be produced? Will it be done locally or overseas? And how many partners do you need to make sure that your product is available? Because if you lock it in with one factory and for some reason they can't perform, then your business will die. And the next thing is you need to come up with a unique value proposition that no one else in the market has. Okay? No one else does it this way. No one else produces a product as good as yours. You need a value proposition. We use fresh chicken, not frozen chicken. We only use fresh proteins, fresh beef, fresh pork, fresh chicken. We do not use frozen proteins in our business. That could be the actual value proposition. The blueprint for success. When you develop a business model, you need to have a canvas. You need to put it on paper. You need to start with you need to start with the business and the product, where all the ingredients come from, who are the suppliers. Okay, then you need to come up with the model. How are you going to sell it? Where is it going to be prepared? Etc., etc., etc. So evidence in reality replaces assumptions. So before you start a business, you need to have statistics in Excel or in a database to show what market testing you've done, how many people you've talked to, or if you used the website idea, how many people visited that and registered, how much of the people that visited or you spoke to showed a willingness to pay, and a qualified plan with a realistic projection of how many sales you think you will make on a monthly basis. And you need to have a projection for at least the first 2 to 3 years. Now, if you're asking an investor to give you large sums of money, some investors will ask for up to 5 years. Now, coming up with a forecast will always rely on how many people you've tested, the market that you want to go into, and by not over exaggerating the numbers. So, can everybody see my slide, market demand? Can you see my slide, Leigh Mayer? Yes? Very good. All right, so here we go. It says scores below 60 out of 100 don't push forward. Pivot the model or shelve the idea before spending the real money. Score your concept objectively across weighted criteria. This removes emotional attachments and forces an honest self-assessment. For example, market demand, 30 points. Size, urgency, evidence of need. How do you decide on the points? For example, you've got 4 areas. Each area is worth 25, for example, 25 points. Market demand. How high is your market demand? You spoke to 1,000 people. Was it 90%, 80%, 70%, 60%, 50%? If it was 50%, then you get 12 points. Competitive gap. How do you differentiate yourself from your competitors? Is your product totally differentiated? Is it one of a kind? Then you get the full 25 points. If you're copying somebody else, but have only improved 1 or 2 things in the product, then it's not the full 25 points. It will probably only be 12.5 points. Revenue potential, again, based on how quickly you intend to scale the business, how many people have shown interest in buying the product, and how quickly do you plan on taking it to more customers and more markets? Execution and complexity. This will come down to asking yourself, do I have all the equipment and the team that I need? Do I have everything I need? That would give you a full 25 points. If you don't, you need to add up what percentage of equipment you have. Do you have enough people to work in the business? You need to come up with a score out of 100. Now, if you don't know how to do this, what you should do is answer all the questions I've told you about. WhatsApp me with all your answers and tell me about the project you want to start, and I'll help you to show you a real score. Okay, Coca-Cola's global expansion. The problem: universal thirst and a desire for refreshment, the most scalable problem on earth. And Pemberton found this out because people kept going to buy his health drink to get more energy. Solution: a consistent, accessible, and instantly recognizable beverage experience. The model: local bottling partnerships and deep distribution networks that scaled without central overhead. Does anybody know what I mean by that? Does anybody know what I mean by that? Coca-Cola does not actually send containers of Coca-Cola cans all over the world. They don't do that. Coca-Cola has no time to do that. Coca-Cola is a syrup distributor. Coca-Cola is the mastermind behind the secret recipe that there's only one man knows, and it's locked under big vaults that no one will ever be able to penetrate. Okay, so this recipe for Coca-Cola, Sprite, Fanta, and any other of the Coca-Cola drinks, Coca-Cola distributes a syrup that no one else can copy. Coca-Cola distributes the formula by which to mix the syrup. And Coca-Cola will only sell the syrup to people that they sign contracts with as Coca-Cola bottlers. Now, to become a Coca-Cola bottler, you must have a factory that meets Coca-Cola specifications. You must have the Coca-Cola equipment that's required, and you must have a team that will market and sell that product in the market where the bottler is based. Coca-Cola does not sell cans. Coca-Cola sells syrup. Do you understand that, guys? Yes or no? So what's the Coca-Cola model? We have the syrup to the most refreshing drink in the world, Coca-Cola. We need a bottler in Pakistan. So they get someone to sign a contract and build a bottling factory. And this factory is only allowed to bottle Coca-Cola syrups. If they're caught bottling another syrup or Pepsi Cola, they'll be sued by Coca-Cola. In addition to this, they buy all their syrup from Coca-Cola. They buy all the cans, all the bottles, all the boxes, all the packaging, all the um, all the advertising that they must get from Coca-Cola under their contract as a bottler, and they must report to Coca-Cola on every bottle they produce. They must report how many cans they produce, how many bottles they produce, and they must meet certain sales targets in the country or market they're allocated. So Coca-Cola guys did not make the bottle of Coke you made in the Philippines. Coca-Cola had its bottler in the Philippines bottle that from the syrup that was sent to the Philippines by Coca-Cola in the US. Do you understand that, guys? Yes or no? Now remember, for every can of Coca-Cola that bottler sells, Coca-Cola makes money. But also, the bottler has to pay for the syrup up front. First, he pays for the syrup, he bottles it and sells it. He gets share of the selling price, the wholesale price, and Coca-Cola also get a royalty on every bottle that he sells. In actual fact, they get it on every bottle he makes. So if he cans 1 million cans a year, Coca-Cola get royalty on the 1 million cans. Okay, but he usually pays those as he sells them. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Okay, let's go on. All right, so hold on, guys. What's happening here? Hold on, guys. We've gone too far here. Just one moment, please. Okay, we go back to the Coca-Cola problem. One moment, please. Okay, so we said the problem was a universal thirst and desire for refreshing energy, which Pemberton built through selling it as a health drink. Solution: consistent, accessible, instantly recognizable beverage experience using the Coca-Cola bottle that can only be given to Coca-Cola bottlers to use, which they must buy through Coca-Cola. If you're not a Coca-Cola distributor, you can never use that bottle. And you can only get the syrup from Coca-Cola, the mother company. Okay, so how do they get bottlers? The bottlers are franchise of Coca-Cola who sign agreements of confidentiality with Coca-Cola, and they operate as a Coca-Cola bottler. And there's bottlers all over the world. There's one in Pakistan, there's one in India, there's one in Australia, there's a big one in China. They're Coca-Cola bottlers all over the world. Okay, so let's talk about Apple. Apple, on the other hand, problem: technology was powerful but intimidating. Complexity excluded most people. Yeah, absolutely. IBM, um, BlackBerry, the technology was very, very, very complex. The solution: seamless integration of hardware, software, and services into one intuitive experience. That's why the MacBook is so powerful. It brings so many experiences into one machine. Validation: customers pay premium prices and upgrade every cycle, the ultimate loyalty signal. Apple does not have to chase their customers. Every time Apple promotes a new MacBook or new MacBook Air and they say it will be released on this days at Apple stores, people from all over the world line up. Why? Because the product provides them seamless integration. It provides them technology that no other manufacturer provides them. So Apple is able to retain its customers through its reputation because its product is one of a kind. If you look at any other computer which is not Apple, if you don't use a MacBook platform or an Apple platform, and you go to any other computer, all right, normal PC computer, there is a difference in the technology that is used. And the difference is because there's some capabilities in the MacBook that normal laptops don't have. Airbnb, trust engine, building a community. The problem: travelers wanted a unique stays, hosts wanted income, but neither side trusted the other. Solution: a platform built by three guys who couldn't afford their rent, who are now $75 billion business, okay, with mutual review systems, identity verification, and host guarantees. Because you book through Airbnb, the money's received by Airbnb and released to the accommodation provider or where you're staying once you've actually checked in. Validation and model: rapid repeat bookings, strong return, okay, and a commission-based model that scale with every transaction, no inventory owned. So this is what happens. You sell your room for $50 a night, Airbnb take a commission. The more rooms you sell, the higher your commission. All right, so let me give you an example. I have a apartment and I sell the apartment on Airbnb for $100 a night. Okay? At the start, I get 70%. Airbnb takes 30%. However, every year, my apartment is full for a full year, 365 days. It's not empty during the year. So if I can show Airbnb that I am a strong producer, they may give me a higher rate. Instead of giving me 70 and they take 30, they will probably give me 85 and they take 15. Do you understand what I mean by that? Yes or no? 70, 30, 85 from the $100 would leave them with $85 and Airbnb with $15. 70, 30 means the apartment owner gets $70 and Airbnb gets $30. The higher number of bookings you get to that property, the better and lower commission you'll be charged as an owner. Okay, so here it comes. Build first, validate the first dilemma. What do we mean by that? Let's talk about it. The build first versus the validate the first dilemma. Build first takes months of development before any customer feedback. You have to spend money. You become emotionally attached and depressed if you fail and you give up because you got no sense of diligence or perseverance. And you find out that the market doesn't want you and you may feel like you're a loser. And that's why you should always validate first. Always validate first. I've given you 3 ways to validate. Take it out and try it, interviews, or, as I said, through a website page. Does everybody understand this? Yes or no? Yes or no? Put your hands up. Come on. Okay. So don't build in the dark because 90% of businesses that build in the dark fail, and that's a fact. And you could be the 91st. Every week you spend building without validation is a week spent betting on your own money. It's like flushing your life down the toilet because you're achieving nothing. The validate first approach isn't caution, it's competitive advantage. In actual fact, it's a must. It's if you don't do it, you will fail. That is proven. Okay, do you understand that, everyone? Yes or no? Put your hands up. Come on. Do you understand that, Ong Tan? Okay. All right. So, as we said, tools are tools of the modern entrepreneur. You must learn how to use artificial intelligence and AI agents. You must learn how to use social analytics from social media or social media platforms. You need to actually have LLMs, which means generate customer interview scripts, leading page copy, and business model drafts instantly. LLMs are a way to generate these online, and you must have a launch platform. And that could be through a website, create a professional, as I said, landing page where you talk about the idea and get people who are interested by registering their interest in return for some sort of a launch customer discount. The cost of validation, minimal investment. Sprint time, 48 hours. Average spend, $100. Potential savings, 1 million plus. From a blank page to a smoke test on a website, okay, a full validation sprint can run under 2 days. So by the time you get yourself a host address or a domain address, build a website and release it, you can do that within hours. And within 48 hours, provided you've actually promoted this web address or smoke-free test page to social media, you probably will get a very, very indicative response within 48 hours. It will take you 48 hours to launch it and to start getting a response. Now, the response in 48 hours is not the complete response. But what I mean by the sprint time, is the time it takes you to actually get it online and working. And you may have to keep it open for a month or two because you want to attract as many potential customers as possible. How much will it cost you to develop the sprint page, the landing? As I told you, anywhere between $50 and $150. And your potential is up to $1 million plus dollars, as you found out from Pemberton, the guy who built Coca-Cola, as you found out from Steve Jobs and Wozniak, who are trillionaires, with the MacBook or the Apple One computer, as it was back then. All right, guys, let's go back to the socks. Remember I talked to you about socks, selling socks online? Okay, a classic example of the survey trap and how to escape it. The problem identified is people say they want convenience in everyday basic socks. The validation landing page launched with a clear $19.99 month offer and a subscription now button where they can actually subscribe for $19.99, and that will get them a 10% discount on their monthly subscription. Okay. And if the business hasn't launched, you would have to put a remark there that we will only deduct from your credit card once the product is launched. Okay? Because some people, if you say, pay now, but your product is not yet launched, they won't pay. You can actually put there that subscribe now, and what happens if you subscribe now for $19.99? In 1 month when we launch, we will deduct from your credit card, ship the product, and afford you 10% discount in the following month. Or if you already have the stock and you're prepared to ship now, you can go ahead and ask them to subscribe now, and you can just say subscribe now. But remember, if they subscribe now, you have to make sure that you've got the product to ship within a reasonable time. Otherwise, they'll go and report you as a fraud to the police that you took their money and didn't supply the product. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Yes or no? Do you understand that now? Okay. Do you understand what I said, Ong Tan Te? Okay, good. The outcome is if a few sign up at $19.99, you get 100 sign-ups. At least you know that 100 people are interested. Okay? The pivot of the space that we created basically was a pivot offer. It's to get you to test the market before burning the capital. So let me ask you, if you have to get these socks made in China and the minimum order is 5,000 pairs, probably 10 designs, 5,000 pairs. So how many pairs would you have to make of each? 500 times 10 designs is 5,000. And you only got 100 people that replied. Is 100 people enough to actually subscribe and buy all the socks in the first 2 or 3 months? And if you only have 50 people, how many months will it take you to sell 5,000 pairs of socks? If you can't turn those socks over within 3 months, then you failed the validation. Money sitting in your warehouse is not profit, it's loss. Okay, here's why it'll work to here's why it did work. And that's a hypothetical question I want all of you to ask yourselves. And why is it hypothetical? Because so many people don't ask it at the front. They ask it at the end. It's about evidence, empathy, and iteration. Every assumption replaced by data is a step closer to investor confidence and sustainable growth. So the more homework and the more research you do using what I've taught you today are a guarantee of success later. If you can say, here's why it will work, it's better than saying, here's why it didn't work. All right? Am I right or wrong? From here's why it will work to here's why it did work means you have to say, here's why it will work. And based on this, here's why it did work. If you know that it will work and you've tested it, you've validated it, because we said we don't do anything until it's validated. Does everybody understand what I've said so far? Okay, let's look at this billion-dollar mindset embrace. And I want you all to start thinking this mindset. And later, I'm going to get you to promise me this. Number one, hypothesize. Form a clear, testable assumption. Make sure you come with the idea that is solving a problem and it's original. Number two, test. Run the cheapest, fastest experiment that could prove or disprove whether your product is really solving a test or passing the test by solving a problem and whether it's something that the market wants. Iterate or pivot. Okay, so I'll come back to iterate or pivot. I left that aside. Let's go to measure. Measure. Based on your test, your validation test, collect real signals, collect real payment signals, not opinions or compliments. So let's talk about the beginning. The beginning starts with iterate or pivot. So what do we mean by that? If you have an ego to be successful, don't let your ego go down the toilet because it's a dream and a dream that never comes true. Take your ego to work and start thinking of a problem that no one else has thought how to solve or a problem that you can solve better. Then hypothesize, then test, then measure, then make a decision. If you don't know how to do this, you're welcome to message me and I will help you. The path to innovation, ladies and gentlemen, is no billion-dollar company was built on perfect first idea. Jobs and Wozniak took nearly 2 or 3 years in the garage. Pemberton took more than 10 years of selling this drug or medicinal drink through stores all over America. Business is built on ruthless testing, honest feedback, and the courage to change direction and adapt your product to market needs. When the evidence demanded it, the road is rarely straight, but it's navigatable. Okay, what do I mean by navigatable? Navigatable means you have the business ability or the product production to be able to navigate. Today, you bring out a product, in 6 months, you can improve it and bring it to market. That means you have to have a factory, you have to have partners, you have to have partners that you can rely on. This is all part of the path or the road to innovation. So, the clear steps to validate your idea are define the idea, scan the market, scan your competitors, scan to identify that it is a real problem that needs to be solved or improved on, experiment, then decide. Each step can be completed in hours, not months. Start with step one tonight. The sooner you have the data, the sooner you have a real business opportunity. And remember, the cost of a bad idea is tragic. 90% of startups fail, and the number one reason isn't poor execution. It is building something that serves no purpose, solves no problem, and nobody wants. No market need means don't waste your money. Validation gap, you can't validate, you don't have strong enough validation, forget it, go back to the drawing board. Otherwise, you're going to flush your money down the toilet. The future is built by those who validate. What if? Here's why. Turn your raw spark into defensible, data-backed concepts that command attention. How do you do that? Stop living in the box. Get out of the box that you were born in. Get out of the idea that you must do everything the way that your parents did it. Become eccentric. What do I mean by eccentric? Become somebody who's focused on doing things your way. Don't follow the norm. If you follow the norm, you will never become a millionaire. Solve real problems. Build for people who have genuine pain and are already spending money to solve it. Ladies and gentlemen, investable concepts don't begin when you raise money. They begin the moment you test your first assumption with someone that gives you honest validation. Do you understand that? Because no one will invest in you unless you've validated first and tested. And they will want proof that you've tested it. They will want to see your research and calculations. Okay. All right. Does everybody understand what the whole idea of tonight's lesson was? Yes or no? I want to see hundreds of yellow hands. Come on. There's 400 plus of you here tonight. Hands up, everyone. Everyone, hands up. Very good. Excellent. Thank you, guys. All right. Okay. Okay. Let's just go around the room. Does anybody have any questions for me? Thank you, Nelson. Thank you so much. Thank you, Choco. Thank you, Lakmaya. Thank you, Naukumu. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Nelson, for your hands up. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Jinalyn. Okay, let's go back. Muhammad Ibrahim. Muhammad Ibrahim, did you understand today's session? Good, excellent. What about you, Glisida? Gliselda? Gliselda, hands up. Yes or no? Okay, good on you, mate. Okay. All right, guys, remember, there is nothing difficult about being conceptual, about being somebody who can conceptualize. Conceptualization can happen with anyone. A 12-year-old kid can conceptualize a new recipe or a new product. It's all up to you going outside the norm, thinking outside the box, and being eccentric. Solve a problem. All right, my co-host, could you put the link for today's lesson in both chat boxes? Can you do both? Okay, can you do it now? Both chat boxes, please. Okay, my co-host has shared the link to today's lesson. Please be advised that providing you have attended and registered your attendance with your camera on, or actually showed reason why you're at work, you will be excused from switching off your camera. Okay, so your camera must have been on for attendance. And after that, if you actually switched it off, you must have sent us a message, which I have received. Therefore, your attendance will be recorded. If at no time you switched on your camera, if at no time you sent a message that you're at work, it may be that you will not receive a certificate and you will not receive another copy of this material from your email. So if you want to get the certificate, you have to have followed the attendance rules, and providing you did, you will get your certificate and a copy of the material. Ladies and gentlemen, BizTalk is here for two reasons. One, it's because goodbye, see you next week. So, the reason here is because I want you to learn, and I respect those who are working and walking around cleaning houses or cooking for the families they work for, but they're so dedicated they still got earplugs in their ears. I respect you so much, and I wish there was thousands of other students like you. You have my utmost admiration and respect, because if you're prepared to sacrifice work and study, I want you to be successful, and I will help you all the way. Do you all understand that, everyone? Can everybody show me their thumbs up? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is Wally Rauder, and this was a great biz talk for me.